the movie actually mirrors the angst of the public. And that is why the movie is doing well. See, this movie is centered around 2611. It was the Americans who tipped us off on the intruding ship Al-Husseini. They tipped us off on November 19th or November 20th, which is 6 days before the attack. So if anybody says there was no intelligence, that is wrong. After 9/11, what you saw was Pakistan promoting homegrown terrorism. Then you saw the likes of Indian Mujahideen. All this changed once the Modi government came in, because by that time, the modules within were taken out. Dawood Ibrahim is a funder of Pakistani terrorism against India. The planning is done by the ISI. The planning is done by the Pakistan Army. And in this, the Pakistani political leadership is not innocent. Only a government headed by Narendra Modi could have taken out the Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Bahawalpur, the Lashkar-e-Toiba camp in Muri.
Is the NSA, Ajit Doval, the real Dhurandhar? Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. Now, on this segment of Point Blank, we discuss the intricacies of Dhurandhar. We'll draw the line between reality and imagination with the man who has reported extensively on Kashmir, Kargil, Kandahar, Pakistan, Northeast insurgency and terrorism for Hindustan Times, Mr. Shishir Gupta. Sir, namaskar. So Dhurandhar 1 and 2 have both raked in over 2,500 crores. It shows no sign of stopping. Why do you think it's clicked so much? Are the events in the movie real?
See, the movie is a cinematic interpretation of real-time events that have taken place in the past quarter century. And the way the script plays out, they are woven in facts and with bit of fantasy to create a wholesome package. But what is important in all this is, why is the movie doing well? Is because the people, the majority, which has been hit very hard by terrorism sponsored by Pakistan and its proxies within India. It is that public, it is that majority population, it is that Hindu population that empathizes with what the director is trying to convey. Let me tell you, in the past quarter century, innocent Indians, that would be more than 2,000, 3,000, within the hinterland have lost their lives. What to talk of in Kashmir, where thousands have been killed. So it is basically a place where the movie actually mirrors the angst of the public. And that is why the movie is doing well. Now, when you say, is it real? I just say it is a cinematic interpretation of things, but the events are real, right? And there is obviously a hyperbole, there is obviously an extrapolation of things that are happening, but it overall, it actually converges with the understanding of the public, converges with the with how the public feels on what has happened in the past 25 years, where a lot of blood was shed of innocent Indians by Islamic terrorists, by Pakistan proxies, and by Pakistan. That is why the movie gels with the public, and that is why people have come back to theatres to watch this movie.
So beyond this, Pakistani ISI underworld politicians, they've been portrayed as the main culprits in the film. Is this the correct picture or is it propaganda?
See, let me take you back, way back. In 1979, the erstwhile Soviet Union occupied Afghanistan. It was at that particular point of time that Pakistan with the support of US and UK, played a double card. It helped US and UK in actually hitting out at Soviet Union in Afghanistan, but then it used the same thing for going all out on terrorism against India. So if you look at that decade, first was the Khalistan terrorism. Then it went into Kashmir terrorism. Then it went into Islamic terrorism, homegrown terrorism. And again, it has come back to Pakistan terrorism. Now, if you look at the periods, you look at 1980s till 1990s, 94, you see Khalistani terrorism. It was sponsored by Pakistan, using drug as the money to promote terrorism, using arms smuggling. Then it was Kashmir terrorism, 1989 and thereon, where Kashmiri proxies were used by Pakistan to hit at India by calling Kashmir as a jugular vein of Pakistan, which is totally incorrect. Then after 9/11, the entire scenario changed, because by then the Americans realized that what Islamic terrorism was all about. And they are also partly responsible for what happened at that particular point of time. Because the radicalization, the Wahhabi culture, the Salafi culture, all was done with an aim of overthrowing the Soviet occupation. But then they couldn't control it, and this is what happened. After 9/11, what you saw was Pakistan promoting homegrown terrorism. Then you saw the likes of Indian Mujahideen, where the underworld was used to promote an ideology and hit at India using networks. So you had networks in UP, you had networks in Mumbai, you had networks in Karnataka, you had networks in Kerala, which were all doing that. But all this changed once the Modi government came in, because by that time, the modules within were taken out. So then it left nothing for Pakistan but to attack directly. So you had Uri, you had Pulwama, and the latest you had Pahalgam. So this is what it is. So it is purely a reflection of what has happened in India through Pakistan and its proxies in the past quarter century or more. And that is why the movie resonates with the public, because India has been hit very, very hard by a rogue nation which was promoted by the West in the name of human rights, in the name of Kashmir, and all were involved in this game, including the Scandinavian countries.
So the 26/11 Mumbai massacre, the Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist group, the fake currency which was racked up, and drugs have all been highlighted in this film. Did the government, the intelligence, the police really fail the country during 26/11?
See, this movie is centered around 26/11. Now, let me tell you something very clearly. It was the Americans who tipped us off on the intruding ship Al-Husseini, which had Lashkar-e-Toiba commandos on board. They tipped us off on November 19th or November 20th, which is 6 days before the attack. So if anybody says there was no intelligence, that is wrong. The intelligence was communicated to all the polices, all the enforcement agencies within the country, including Maharashtra Police, by no less than the Director Intelligence Bureau. Right? It was the then leadership of the Maharashtra Police that failed. At that particular time, when the ship was intruding into India, the defense of Gujarat exercises were taking place with Coast Guard and the Indian Navy, the Western Indian Navy. There were surveillance recce's that went out from Daman airport of Coast Guard using Dorniers to try and identify the ship. They failed. So it was an overall failure. It was also a failure of a leadership which had been playing politics with terror for a long time since it came into power in 2004. So to say that 26/11 was actually a horrible thing that happened to India. And that is why the movie evokes that kind of sentiment. Because India has not forgotten that and will never forget that. It is also symptomatic of what was happening at that particular point of time, because the parties that were that time in power were more into vote bank politics than to stamp out terror that was going on in India. What you saw at that particular point of time was there was a vicious cycle that was being played out, where Pakistan and its proxies used to first radicalize people, then do rioting, communal fracture, and then terrorism. So this cycle, it was cyclic, it continued repeating like that. One fed into the other. And that's how it was done. And then the fear was put into the minority community of the majority community. So it was a vicious game that was played by Pakistan, ISI, Pakistani leadership, because they simply hated Hindu India, as Field Marshal Asim Munir said that on April 19th, 2025, openly in front of everybody.
So, underworld mafia, Dawood Ibrahim, this is one of the aspects which everybody is talking about when we speak about the film. He's shown to be the master evil who directs all of the operations against India in this film. Is this the correct picture? Is he ill? Where does he live?
See, I have reported extensively on Dawood Ibrahim for over the years. And let me tell you very clearly. First of all, the picture portrays him to be responsible for everything that is happening in India. I don't think so that is a correct picture. Dawood Ibrahim is a funder of Pakistani terrorism against India. This is because he's paying back after Pakistan decided to give him shelter after the 1993 Bombay blast, in which more than 200 people were killed. So he is a funder. He arranges drug money for terrorism. But to say that he plans everything, no. The planning is done by the ISI. The planning is done by the Pakistan army. And in this, the Pakistani political leadership is not innocent at all. There is no schism between the two of them, right? And where does he live? He lives in Karachi. He also has a farmhouse in Islamabad next to General Parvez Musharraf's farmhouse. He also sometimes goes into ISI safe houses when things become very hot for him, right? And he's not ill.
Okay. When we're talking about the big picture, is it that Pakistan has succeeded in its plan to terrorize India?
Well, Pakistan in the first decade of this century, Pakistan had definitely succeeded, because there were at least 1,000 innocent lives were lost during this Karachi project, which was done by the Pakistani ISI, where the Indian Mujahideen was used to target innocent Indians all over the place. This started somewhere in 2004 and continued till 2013. So in that period, Pakistan definitely succeeded. But after that, Pakistan has really lost a lot. Let me explain it to you how. There was Uri surgical strikes. There was this Operation Bandar or Operation Balakot as it called. Then there was Operation Sindoor, in which Pakistani terrorist camps were taken out. It was only, let me be very clear in this, only a government headed by Narendra Modi could have taken out the Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Bahawalpur, the Lashkar-e-Taiba camp in Muridke. Lashkar-e-Taiba was the one that started the 26/11. That time, the pusillanimous government that was there did not do anything about it, despite you had more than 166 people, innocents, being massacred out. The country was humiliated, right? But after that, what has happened? Today, Pakistan faces Baluch insurgency, Pakistan faces Pashtun insurgency, Pakistan has a huge problem with Afghan Taliban, one they thought that they had promoted. Pakistan, basically west of the Indus River, Pakistan is into various serious problems. The Taliban does not recognize the Durand line. Taliban talks about larger Pakhtunistan. Baluch want their own territory. Sindhis want their own territory. The only Pakistan that you see is the bombastic Punjabi Muslims there. That's what you see. So Pakistan is in really very, very hot waters. And on top of all this is what is going to come next. And that actually is the real revenge, is the abrogation of the Indus Water Treaty. That is what is going to hit you very hard when India will take every single drop of water that it requires for its own people. And that was being just doled out to Pakistan in the belief of the peaceniks that Pakistan may change. Pakistan will never change.
Sir, final question, but certainly not the least important. The movie's main character is based on the life of the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval. Is he really that good? Are Indian intelligence agencies up to the mark, and is he the real Dhurandhar?
See, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has seen all this thing through. He was the man who was in Kashmir when Masood Azhar was captured. He was the man when Omar Saeed Sheikh was captured. He was the man who's seen Ilyas Kashmiri, who's been identified as Major Iqbal. Ilyas Kashmiri was the man, or Peer Sahib as he was called, was the man who actually managed to escape from Nizamuddin railway station after Omar Saeed Sheikh had actually taken 4 foreign nationals hostages in 1994. So he is the man who saw Kandahar. He is the man who saw Kargil. He is the man who's seen 9/11. He is the man who's seen the December 13 attacks, and so on and so forth. Now, he is one person who actually has the vision, has the capability to do operational planning, and how to implement it on ground. I'm not going to get into classified things, but let me tell you just 3 small things about Ajit Doval. And the rest you can read it on the internet. One is that unlike the other national security advisors, he is not a member of BJP. Second, when 26/11 happened, the then CIA liaison in India went to meet him in the VIF headquarters in Chanakyapuri to tell him that 3 Lashkar-e-Taiba agents had been sent at that time to eliminate him. What happened to the Lashkar-e-Taiba fellows? I do not know. Right? He is the man who called up his Pakistani counterpart, Nasir Janjua, on January 1st, 2016 to call off the Pathankot attack. But Nasir Janjua never delivered. Rest, I leave it out.
Is the NSA, Ajit Doval, the real Dhurandhar?
See, the real Dhurandhar actually is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He actually has empowered the intelligence, the enforcement agencies, and has put up a team in such a way that they deliver on internal security and external security. He has two people with him who have the vision and the implementation. First is Home Minister Amit Shah. I mean, he was the man who actually demolished the Indian Mujahideen in 2008 after the Ahmedabad blast took place. Then he has Ajit Doval, who knows Pakistan like back of his hand. Right? He is the man who has told everybody that, listen, whatever is in national interest you do, I'll be there to protect you. So really, the real Dhurandhar is Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
So thank you so much for joining us and giving us all that context in connection with the film, because so many people are very curious about the reality of it. With that, it's a wrap. Do stay tuned and remember to tune in to next week's episode of Point Blank.